Hi guys, back again with me Austin from A Boy at Heart. Today I'm going to share to you my experience on two figures. So I'll be sharing to you guys. First is the Shadow Trooper. This is from the vintage collection from Hasbro, 1/18 scale or 3/4 inch scale. This is VC number 163. Right. I think it was released on 2019. Right, it is based on the video games Star Wars Battlefront. Okay, I think I think the first Battlefront. I didn't play the game, so I'm sorry guys, I don't have any info on that. Then I'll open this up. Right, sorry me non-card collectors, I respect you guys, so I'll open this for you. We have the front artwork here, Kenner Shadow Trooper, the vintage card, what they call style, and then we have all the other TVC figures, right? Blah blah blah. Okay, I'm not going to focus on that. I'm going to focus on the figure now. So I thought I'd check on my shelf. I don't have much reference on any other Shadow Trooper or Shadow Stormtrooper, but I found out this guy. So this guy is actually the Saga collection from Hasbro as well, Stormtrooper, which was released on 2006. The paint stamp on this states 2005. This was not new, so it's been there in my display. It's supposed to come out with a figure stand, but I don't have it, so we'll focus on the figures itself. It is based on the comic The Crimson Empire. Alright, so that was based on the game. This was based on the comic, which I think a lot of fans really like that comic book, Crimson Empire, which is kind of part of the expanded universe. Is probably now being stated as Star Wars Legends by Disney. But anyway, yeah, so I'll share these two figures in this video. Alright. By the way, it was also being repackaged from the 30th anniversary, as I think fans' choice, something like that. Very similar figure. And this, I checked that this figure is actually based on the VOTC, the Vintage Original Trilogy Collection Stormtrooper mold, with a bit of modification on the leg, right? Especially the paint stamp, right? So I'm not an expert in accuracy and stuff. Just love to share action figures on my hand, you know, what I experience, what I feel with it. So hope you guys enjoy it. Okay, now before I continue on, I just want to share, right? I also happen to have this is the VC number 133, okay, vintage collection Shadow Trooper, right? This is pretty much the back of the card, and then the front part of the card. I'll pretty much open this. This is part of the Rook one, right? Just want to mention to you guys, if you want to army build, if you're an opener like me and you want to army build this guy, you can always go and check the Walmart exclusive version, right? Which is pretty much the same figure. Not much difference, really. I look to it, not much difference. I think the most noticeable difference is on the blaster here. The paint here is also weathered, but it's on a somewhat lighter gunmetal, which is cool. I like this better than this. But if you want to army build this, it's just something to note. Okay, pretty much the same figure, so you can get either of these two. All right, so without further ado, but I have the packaging of this, but I'll show it on the screen. So that's how the packaging of the TSC. Let's take a closer look of this figure, right? Alright, first let's focus on the TSC Shadow Stormtrooper, which is based on the comic The Crimson Empire. Alright, first of all, this is not a helmet, this is the actual head of the figure, right? As you can see down there, it's already the ball joint. It's a huge ball joint. So it's a bit dusty. Right. What I like from this hat is that the markings, as you can see, I like the noticeable blue markings here and there, which is quite neat across the helmet, especially on the side here, right, and then on the back, right. I like it. It gives a bit of distinctive look to the Stormtrooper, right? But for most of the part, the helmet is painted kind of a matte black, so it's not really that reflective, right? And then on the body, this part on the armor is actually kind of reflective, but some part of it not really, so it's kind of a mix. All right, not much marking on the body, pretty much most of it are black with slight grayish color on the joints on the arms here, right, and also right on the glove. Okay, so the armor part is really black, but on the hand here is somewhat grayish, right, but for the most part it is all black, right. So as you can see here, it has a holster. It's kind of this type of holster which you just slide in the blaster, right, but it works. Okay, it's not the best holster, but it works, and it's rubbery, right. Yeah, it's pretty simple figure, but I think I like it for its simplicity. It works. It's good for your army building. The belt here is kind of glued. I don't think it's somewhat removable. This part here is very solid. It's not really rubbery, so it might break, so be careful with it, but the holster is okay. I like the silver metallic part here, which is cool. All right, so but I think one of what I like from this helmet, although it's all black, we can somewhat notice a bit of highlights on the goggle part on the eyes. All right, so for the articulation, the head is on a ball joint, so you can do this side to side, downward, upward a lot. We can do full rotation, right, so all of ball joint motion, right. Then on the arm here we have a hinge there. We can move it up, we can rotate it around, we can use the hinge to move according to what our need to the back that much. Okay, this is the range of the elbow. It's actually past 90 degrees, so that's not bad, right. Then we have rotation on the elbow, we have rotation on the wrist. Do we have hinge there? Not on the left. Do we have hinge here? Nope, we only have rotation. And then on the torso here we have ball joint, which allow us to not really downward, backward, up or upward that much. Okay, not bad, but nothing much side to side. But let me check if we can turn it around to 60. I try. Okay, yes, it can do a 360 rotation, right. This is an old figure, so it still uses the old joint there. Let's see, this is the front kick that much, and then back kick not so much actually. The knee we can bend this much, 90 degrees, then we can turn it around. Okay, we have rotation on the ankle, and then we can move it downward that much, quite a lot. By the way, down there we have peg holes, and upwards, right. So that's pretty much the articulation with this TSC figure. Let me try to take out the blaster so that you can see the blaster. I don't really like this type of holster, but thankfully the blaster is rubbery as well. I think they take that into account. So yeah, so it's only a hole like that, so you can slide in your blaster inside it, and it's just hanging around there. This is the blaster that we have with him. Doesn't really have much details there, but this is pretty much the basic. Oh, we do have a bit of molded details over there, which is okay. Again, it's very rubbery, which is okay because you need that to put into the holster, right? So let's try to put it on him. The trigger palm is on the right. As you can see, the fingers line up like that with the trigger finger separated. The one on the left is more like, oh, you do have trigger finger on the left as well. So let's see what we can do with him. That's cool. Right. On the right, it grips really tight, reasonably tight, not really tight, but it's okay. And well, due to the lack of wrist articulation, we don't really have a good shooting position, but we can do at least this much of a shooting position, which is okay, right? Pew 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 pew, like that. So it's pretty decent. It works. It's simple. You have everything you need from a Stormtrooper, pretty much. Yes, an update will be great, but for your army building, I think this is quite a cool figure to have. Alright, now we move on to the TVC Shadow Trooper from the Star Wars Battlefront game. This is the helmet. There's also the actual head, so there's no face inside down there. I like the mold, and what I like is that the overall paint of this the Shadow Trooper body is somewhat glossy compared to the this one. Okay, it's all glossy, which is nice. It's clean, it's nice. Okay, it's very reflective. Not glossy, it's reflective. Okay, and then I like the neat silver lining, silver details on the helmet. Yes, you can see there on the side, the linings, and even it's also the same silver metallic on the, what do you call that, the goggle part on the helmet. Of course, this part is a bit tricky, but you can see a bit of silvers there, so it's okay. I think it's acceptable for me. A bit of marking details there as well, right? So it's cool. All right. I don't know if it's visible to you guys, but there's a bit of sloppiness on the paints there. I see some markings on this chest area there, especially on the right here. Yeah, it's a shame, but you can always retouch that. Okay. Again, shiny on a bit of molded details there. All right. The belt is somewhat molded, I think, but I appreciate the fact that they make this part kind of rubbery, as you can see here. Okay, it's kind of rubbery because otherwise it will hinder the articulation on the leg here, which is a shame because they already provided with the newer articulation, right? As you can see here. I hope it will last because we'll move a lot on the thigh up here. Right, as you can see, the one on mine here is already bent inward because I play around with it to do a certain pose. By the way, it comes with a pauldron, but before we come to I like the details, the neat metallic paint on the dots there, right, on this part of the belly, which is cool. I like that. I like the small little details, right? And yeah, the legs, shiny. I'm not sure about this, how accurate this is. Is this supposed to be like this in the game? But for me personally, I like this one better. You know, I like it to be thin. But I don't know, this is probably accurate to the actual video game. But it looks weird to me. Look at that. I don't know. I don't know, how about you guys? Do you like this better? Alright, anyway. We have all black down there with the peg holes. Right, to put on the pauldron. Now let's check the pauldron for a little bit. Here's the pauldron that we have. Is black, is shiny as well, not really matte. The pockets is painted rather a bit matte look, but for this side here is quite reflective. It's very rubbery. It's very easy to pull off. On a quick glance, I thought this was similar with the one with Death Trooper, but actually it's not. It's a bit different. It is different. Let me compare with the only reference that I have. This is the Walmart exclusive Stormtrooper. A bit similar, but the Stormtrooper one is, I think, is better, a bit more details. But anyway, I'm glad we have this, so we can if you want to army build, you can always have one higher officer, a surgeon maybe, right? It's very easy to put on. You just need to pop off the head, which is very easy to do. So it's already using the new joint. So it's a dumbbell joint on the neck. It's a ball joint to ball joint, which connect to the neck. Easy to remove as well. Just put on here. I like the metallic dot there again, and then just put the head on, and you have a surgeon, right? Which is cool. Right, the articulation, the head is on already. I'll do it with the pauldron on, so we can do how much it will intrude the articulation. The head is on the dumbbell joint, so it will hinder the movement downward, upward, side to side, but you do have full rotation there, right? Then the arm here, we have our usual joint with the hinge. So the good thing is that they sculpted with somewhat I hope you can see the gap there, right? I like the details inside here. So you can move it upward like that. Notice that the shoulder pad actually moves into the gap inside here, so it fits well, so it doesn't intrude the articulation. You can move it up like that, and then you can move it somewhat to the back like that, right? That much is okay, I guess. For rotation, you can have this much of an elbow band, and then you can rotate it 360. We have rotation on the wrist. We have this is a newer figure, so you have the hinge there, downward, upward, okay, okay, and then this one also came with a hinge. So this is the trigger palm with the trigger finger. As you can see, we can move it downward, we can move it upward like that, and full rotation. Now the leg, the torso first. The torso, we have a bit of ball joint movement to the front, to the back, side to side. I think we do have full rotation with it. Okay, so that's cool. We have this motion. The leg is, I hope it's visible, is the hinge. It comes with a hinge. It's a new, well, not really new, but we have the hinge there. So if you use the hinge, we can do kick like that, okay? But at the same time, it also so you can do a kick, a split like that, but you can also move it around. Okay, I hope it's visible. As you can see, the hinge part there move, full rotation up there, right? But not only that, there is a gap here between this part of the joint with the hinge with the thigh here, with the leg part down here. So it's like having a smaller Star Wars Black Series figures, right? So I hope, okay, I'm trying to hold the upper hinge here so that you can see that it actually rotates. Pay attention to this. Okay, it does rotate. Okay, you can see the labels of the markings. All right, it actually rotates separately, so you can combine the two joints to create the best position that you need. One thing to note though, because it's very small, sometimes it's a little bit troublesome. So by using it, you can do a front kick like that as well. So that's cool. All right, it's more visible this way. So you can see the hinge there with the rotation down there, and up here is also a rotation. Right, so you can rotate like that. Right, it's a good. Thank goodness this is a better view. All right, so you can combine the two joints. Right, this is pretty much the back kick. So you get quite a good range of motion, but of course you have to pay attention to this sculpted part of the leg arm, so on the thigh, the armor on the thigh, because it might intrude with the belt here, which is why I appreciate that they make the belt here rubbery. All right, now on the knee here we have this much of a hinge, and then we can rotate it 360. The one on the right here is a bit loose, but it still stands, so I'm okay with that. As you can see it start to mess around with the belt. All right, I just hope that it doesn't break. Then the ankle, we have full rotation as always. It doesn't have a rocker ankle, but we have downward that much, upward that much, right? So yeah, that's pretty much the articulation with this TVC Shadow Trooper. For its accessories, we are being given two blasters. Aside from the pauldron, we have the longer blaster here, which is somewhat, I think I like the mold here. Small but somewhat quite detailed. It doesn't have a trigger hole. I think it's accurate. Not really rubbery, quite solid. So yeah, we'll see. All right. We can grip with the right palm. The left palm is more of a gripping palm. So let's try it on. I felt that when I play with it, because of the trigger there, the palm is somewhat a bit too small for, yeah, it can work, but when posing it can be a bit troublesome. Yeah, right. Yeah, it holds, but again, like I said, it might be a bit troublesome. We'll try after this, okay? And then we also being given the smaller blaster with the trigger hole. The small blaster is nice, is a bit more intricate than the one we had with the old 2005 what do you call it, TSC Stormtrooper, and this one doesn't have trigger hole. Sometimes, you know, accuracy is good, but sometimes practicality is also a thing. At some point I like figures, I like blaster with trigger holes as long as it works, but sometimes something simple with this is good as well. So it depends on your preference. I like the details there on the mold. This is a bit rubbery, yeah, which is okay, but quite solid. I hope it's visible, all the details. Okay, so let's try to put it on him. It's all painted in black as well. Put it on the right palm. I hope the trigger finger can move in. I tried to move the trigger finger in, but doesn't really want to move in. Anyway, that's how it is, but it's still, I have a feeling that we can actually put the trigger finger in the trigger hole, but I'll try it off the camera later. But it grips quite tight as well, and you can do, I think you can do a quite decent shooting position. All right, so it's not a sniping position, but yeah, you know that we can do a standard shooting position. I'll try to do it off camera. Perhaps I can do a better pose with this, right, and show you guys. So I managed to do it to put the trigger finger into the trigger hole and do somewhat quite a decent shooting position with the pauldron on with the smaller blaster. Okay, so it's not that bad. I do think that without the blaster, without the pauldron on, we'll get a better shooting position. Well, let's try it. To do shooting position with the longer blaster is even trickier. Eventually I tried to put off the pauldron so that it has more room here, which I hope that this part of the blaster will rest kind of the armpits area of the Stormtrooper. But you know, as I mentioned, because of the grip is a bit too big, I think for the right palm, it's very tricky to do. I wanted to do a sniping position, but the position on the right doesn't really allow me to do a nice tight shooting position that I wanted. Of course, if you are into photography, you can always play around with it and do a certain angle is probably doable, like this. You can do a good photography shooting position or sniping position, but in actuality it's not the best shooting position, but it's there, you know. So yeah, it's not that bad, but problem is to get this position you have to remove the pauldron, otherwise it'll be very troublesome. Without the pauldron on, the smaller blaster works even better, of course. It's expected. You can get a decent shooting position like this. Not quite a sniping position, but it's pretty decent, I would say. Okay, before we measure these figures up, I just want to point out that with the new articulation, we're able to do a shooting position while kneeling down. So it's a plus, right? Something that's very hard to do with the old articulation T joint on the thigh, right? But it's possible to do with this new figure, with the newer articulation. Of course, like I said, not sure how long this part on the belt will last. You know, it's bended upward like that, so hopefully it will last. Okay, right. Another thing I mentioned that I thought the belt was kind of glued, but it turned out it moves, right? Just like that. I think if we remove, I'm not sure, it's probably being held by the mold here. Is it the same? Is it a one mold or a separate mold with the butt here? Not quite sure, but we know that it actually moves like this, so it's kind of rubbery. Hopefully, yeah, it will last, this part here. So that's just something that I want to point out. Okay, now to measure this up, this guy stands for, stands for somewhat just below 4 inch, right? Around that. Okay, so around 10 centimeters, right, roughly. And then whereas the whereas the old figure, the TSC one, the Saga collection, which is it stands for roughly slightly below 4 inch, at least. So around, I think around 10 centimeters as well, right? I might be, yeah, I think around that. Okay, so let's compare these two guys with several other figures that I have over here. This is a newer part of the newer figure in the 3¾ inch Star Wars line, the Death Trooper. So yeah, Death Trooper is known to be a taller guy. Then this is compared to Sand Trooper. This is not the TVC one. The one that I have here is actually the Walmart exclusive one. Alright, So yeah, it's somewhat shorter than this guy. Very interesting. Okay, let's compare to some other guys. Han Solo from the TSC. Right. And then this is compared to other figure line. This is Joy Toy, which is generally bigger than Star Wars, taller than Star Wars, not bigger, taller. This is the TVC Rebel Hot Trooper that I shared also in my previous old video. And then what do we have? This is Jyn Erso. You know what? Jyn Erso doesn't seem too short. Interestingly, this guy is not that tall. Right, okay. This is the old Black Series Stormtrooper. I think a lot of people hate this guy. And then what else do we have? I have Scarif Trooper. Yeah, Scarif Trooper is also taller than these guys. I thought with all the new joins, this guy will be somewhat as tall as the Scarif one, but interestingly, not so much. Let's see, I have the Luke Jedi construction here. And then let's compare to other figure lines. This is Acid Rain figure. This is, I think this is Damien figure from the Taste of Coffee set. I have yet to share about this guy, but anyway, just for reference. What else do we have? Okay, I have, this is my usual reference for Marvel Universe, Professor X, which is generally taller than Star Wars figures. I also have a G.I. Joe figure. This is Storm Shadow from the movie, I believe. Oh, the sword. Okay, which is also normally slightly taller. Sorry for the light, it's a bit bright, but I hope it's visible. Alright, so yeah, that's pretty much it. So again, just to point out to you these two figures, if you like Shadow Troopers, this is the good representation of the old figure, 2005-2006 release. This is kind of a new figure, 2019, with added articulation, especially on the legs there, which is cool to be able to do a nice kneeling shooting position with two options on the guns, and also you can remove the pauldron if you want to have a kind of army building of Shadow Trooper, or if you want to, with the surgeon. This is from the game, this is from the comic. So which one do you like better, guys? You can mention in the comment. Right, personally I like the articulation on this one. It's newer of course, but sometimes I like to come back to the older one and somewhat just play something that's a bit simpler, right? So I like both. Anyway, thanks guys for watching until the end. If you like this video, please like, subscribe and share, and you can always turn on your notification bell, and then you can always contact me through Instagram. Bye.